Hey there, welcome back to the VQT experience. Now, I have a trivia question for you. What is the best way to protect personal health information? The answer? Never ask for it in the first place. Now, by now, most people have at least heard of HIPAA, H-I-P-A-A, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, the federal act passed in 1996 to protect the privacy of personal health information, or PHI. But what many people might not know is that most of the information a therapist might ask you during a psychological evaluation or an intake is protected health information that they really don't even need. Somewhere along the line, somebody decided it would be a good idea to get a detailed history of personal health information in order to best be able to help a client. Well, I disagree. In fact, in the majority of cases I deal with, the less I know, the better. In nearly 20 years of practice, I have clearly demonstrated that collecting such information is quite unnecessary in most instances. In most cases, all I really need to know is what your current issues are and how you are currently thinking about your situation. My methods and my strategies can take it from there. And if there's any doubt about that, ask any one of my clients. They will tell you. I don't want any more personal health information than absolutely necessary to solve the problem, which is usually very little, if any. With VQT especially, I really don't want your PHI. It is unnecessary and it defeats the purpose, which is effectiveness, efficiency, and anonymity. HIPAA guidelines are stringent and restrictive. In fact, when they first came out, healthcare workers were freaked out about it. Stories circulated about federal agents showing up at your doorstep to arrest you for violations. People stood guard by the fax machine, protecting an incoming fax from accidentally being read by someone for whom it wasn't intended. Now, things have relaxed a bit since then, but healthcare workers still freak out about inadvertently violating the act. I don't want to come anywhere close to that violation either. And the best way to do that is to refuse to accept any PHI, which, ironically, helps me to do my job more effectively. That is the nature of VQT. If PHI is needed to treat your disorder, then VQT is not for you. I'll gladly send you to someone who can help you with your mental health disorder. Now, here's another little something your therapist probably won't tell you. When you complete that psychological intake form, answering all of those personal health questions, you will most likely be tagged with a diagnosis. If you're using your insurance, you will definitely be tagged. Insurance companies will not pay without a mental health disorder diagnosis code. Even if you're paying cash, most practices will still tag you with a diagnosis. Now, here's the problem. Most clients do not have a diagnosable disorder, or should I say, no more of one than I do. And I think that is an irresponsible practice. But if you accept insurance, you don't have a choice. In most cases, it'll be a fairly benign diagnosis, like adjustment disorder, and that can be issued, which is not likely to plague you for the rest of your life, but nevertheless, it is permanently out there and can be retrieved by a court order. And if you want to eventually join a government agency, like, say, the CIA, you're likely to have to explain why this diagnosis exists on your record. Again, VQT avoids all of that. In very clear language, it is not for diagnosable mental health disorders, which, as it turns out, includes me and most of all of you. Being stressed out is not a mental health disorder. Wanting to figure out how to commit to optimal nutrition an optimal nutrition plan, or sustain an exercise program, those are not mental health disorders. Gaining confidence, believing in yourself, conquering performance anxiety, learning to drink responsibly. Oh yeah, these all require adjustments in the mental realm for sure, but they are clearly not disorders and absolutely do not require a diagnosis. There's a big difference, a huge difference. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to use VQT as a platform to get on my personal soapbox and rail against what I see as some unnecessary and possibly even unethical practices. I'm simply stating the truth. People who simply need some help getting unstuck in life and realize that it's going to take a bit more than just reading that next self-help book have every right to be leery of being asked 100 personal health questions and then being tagged with a diagnosis, especially when it is unnecessary to get the job done. So, if you have any reservations whatsoever about sharing your PHI or getting tagged with a diagnosis, but yet you want some hard-hitting mental strategies and proven clinical success taught by a licensed and seasoned professional, then VQT is for you. I don't want your PHI or to give you a diagnosis either, and I have a great track record to prove it. Now, it may seem odd at first blush to hear me say this, but the less I know about you, the better. And when you think about it, that just makes sense. Contrary to popular belief, that extra information only impedes the process sometimes. Any doubt about that? Well, you can try it for yourself for free. And I'm confident in the process, and I know you will love it. So, I'll see you over there on the quasi side.